On Thursday, January 9th, 1958, 42-year-old farmer Derryck Garth Prinsloo from Orange Free State was visiting Scottsburg with his family. He was about to be the sixth person to encounter a shark along the same stretch of South Africa's coastline in the past few weeks. What began as Black December at the end of 1957 was now spilling over into the new year. For tourists and locals alike, there seemed to be no end in sight. South Africa's tourism industry was taking a hit as people avoided its beaches or flocked to those protected by shark nets. At the time, Scottsburg was a small resort with a beautiful backdrop, fringed by woodland. The sandy beach was framed by jagged rocks at either end, where rock pools collected at low tide. A grassy bank led down to the sand just the other side of a low seawall. The beach sloped gently into the water. It was a popular spot for bathing. On this particular morning, at around 7:30 a.m., the water was turbid. Waste sugarcane debris flowed down the nearby river into the sea. Silt from the seafloor was kicked up by the powerful waves as they crashed towards the beach. There was a drizzle in the air, and a breeze picked up. Not many people braved the conditions that day. Only about 20 people splashed about in the chilly water. Derryck paddled into the sea to a depth of just over half a meter. He was wearing his maroon swimsuit and stood momentarily looking out at the waves. His daughter and wife remained on the sand, whilst his 16-year-old son joined him in the shallows. The waves lapped at his legs. He commented how beautiful it was there and how much he enjoyed the evenness of the waves as they rolled in. They were predictable. There was something calming about looking out over the water and watching the ebb and flow of the tide. But what he didn't know was just how much danger he was in. The other swimmers in the water were further out, but Derryck was happy to just paddle in the knee-high surf for now. A few minutes after Derryck stepped foot into the sea, professional lifesaver, 20-year-old Peter Little, spotted a gray shape weaving its way through the early morning bathers. It passed several of them, including Derryck's son, Jacques. Then, before he could sound the alarm, the shark struck. With no warning, it suddenly leapt from the water. Its jaws were open, displaying its razor-sharp teeth. Its eyes rolled back in its head in preparation for contact. It grabbed Derryck's right side in its jaws. The force from the attack sent Derryck flying through the air. His muscle was torn from his right buttock as the shark clamped down firmly. He landed with a heavy splash in the water. He was shocked and covered in blood, trying to get to his feet, scrabbling about on his back. But a split second later, the shark wheeled around and attacked him again. This time it came at him from the other side and bit into his left thigh. It thrashed its head from side to side, and the water turned red around Derryck. He cried out as he felt the shark's teeth sink into him once more. The bite was so powerful that it nearly severed his left leg from his body. He knew he was in trouble. He knew he needed to get out of the water, but he couldn't free himself from the jaws. The speed, agility, and power of some of the ocean's top predators make sharks a deadly force. Some species frequent shallower waters, particularly at river mouths or in shallow lagoons near the shore. Their ability to adapt to both shallow and deep water makes them a formidable and resilient animal in the marine ecosystem. As opportunistic hunters, many species will consume a range of different prey. Tiger sharks, great whites, and bull sharks are responsible for most of the human-shark conflicts around the world, mostly because they hunt when people are most likely to be in the water. But tiger sharks are known to be naturally aggressive. Derryck was just feet from the beach when he was struck by the shark. Lifesavers rushed towards him from their lookout post. The water was so shallow that the shark became almost beached as it continued its frenzied attack. Its belly dug into the soft sand, and its tail whipped back and forth, kicking up the golden sand and turning the water into frothing foam. People who witnessed the attack ran from the water, but nobody was able to pull Derryck to safety. Seconds later, he was once again released, his limbs torn to shreds in the brutal attack, but he couldn't get out of the way. Each time the shark released its grip, there wasn't enough time to get away before the shark came back for more. Terrifyingly, the shark came back a third time, biting him on the buttocks and right thigh and severing his femoral artery. Then Just as quickly as it had appeared, the shark wriggled itself away from the shallows, its dark shadow disappearing beneath the waves as it headed out to sea. The water had been so shallow that it hadn't managed to drag its prey away into open water. It had deliberately swum past swimmers further out in the surf to take advantage of someone in the shallows. It was a surprise attack. Lifesavers who witnessed the incident identified the species as a 2-meter dusky shark. These sharks can grow over 3 meters or 10 feet in length. However, in the commotion of the attack, the shark's gray-brown back and lighter-colored underbelly could have been mistaken for a number of other species. Considering the conditions at the time and the way in which the shark attacked, some experts believe that it was a tiger shark. This species frequents turbid, debris-laden water and is known to attack in the shallows. It is also common in the area where Derryck fell victim. Scottsburg had the second highest number of tiger sharks caught by nets and drum lines along the KwaZulu-Natal coast. There were definitely tiger sharks in those waters. But the identification of the species responsible didn't stop there. Less than 2 weeks later, the Sharks Board retrieved the bodies of a dusky shark and 2 great whites in the shark nets deployed off nearby Amanzimtoti Beach. After investigation and dissection, something they always performed on sharks killed in the nets, the stomach of one of the great whites was examined. To their surprise, the Sharks Board found the remnants of what was thought to be a maroon bathing costume. The material was also speckled with what looked like blood. Chemical analysis of the stains on the swimsuit revealed that it was, indeed, human blood. Could this have been Derryck's swimming costume devoured during the attack? As Derryck lay in the shallows, bleeding profusely, lifesavers rushed to his aid. He was just 4.5 meters or 14 feet from the shore. He was tantalizingly close to dry land, where his wife and daughter had looked on in abject terror as the events unfolded. The lifesavers grabbed him under his arms and pulled him out of the water. When they lay him down on the sand, they tied a tourniquet around his thigh. But the blood loss was rapid and catastrophic. He was lifted onto a stretcher and rushed to a private car which sped to hospital. En route to Renishaw Hospital, just a few kilometers away, Derryck lost consciousness and never woke up again. He was pronounced dead on arrival at the hospital. The attack had been so brutal that his injuries were not survivable. 3 days later, Derryck's funeral was held in the Yenison district. It was attended by more than 1,000 people. The church was overflowing, and farmers from far and wide came to pay their respects to a much-loved man who was taken too soon. Following the tragic incident, the director of the Scottsburg Chamber of Commerce set up a fund to help Derryck's widow. He also began a fund to pay for a secure structure built into the sea to protect bathers from the threats of sharks. The local government needed to do something to prevent these never-ending shark attacks. Otherwise, their tourism industry would be lost forever. Derryck was the 7th victim of the now infamous Black December, and the 4th person to meet their terrifying final affliction.